Hey everyone, and welcome. It's a Monday, and it's been a very busy weekend in sports, NBA, NHL, soccer, of course, both MLS and European soccer, baseball, without question. So let's get right to it. I'll tell you what. The NFL draft ended on Saturday. Let's get to our picks for, let's grade them out. Okay, let's give you the grade. Let's begin with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Arizona Cardinals get an A. Uh, they got Troy Benson. Now, Troy Benson is in the third round, okay, but he is definitely going to be an impact player for the Cardinals. They did very well. If you got Trey Benson and James Conner, you got a good running game, and that's going to help the Arizona Cardinals offense, no question about it. Um, I'll say this: the Cardinals had a lot of ammunition with 12 picks, and General Manager Monty Ossenfort used them all well. He didn't really screw up anything. He got his wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. He got much dynamic, who is their much needed, um, their much needed offensive dynamic player. So they did very well. Let's talk now about the Atlanta Falcons. What were they thinking? I don't know. I have no clue what they were thinking when they picked Michael Penix Jr. Now, I love Michael Penix Jr. I do. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. But at the age of 24, he is walking into an Atlanta team that just signed in the offseason, of course, as you all know, Kirk Cousins for $160 million. So let's say Kirk Cousins at least has got 2 good years, maybe even 3 or 4 years with the Falcons. Where does that put Penix? It'd be 28, 29 before he gets a shot at playing for the Falcons. I don't understand why they would waste the first round draft choice when they had so many other moves they could have made, and they just didn't. They get a C from us. There's no question about that. Um, the Falcons are going to have to figure out what to do with Penix, and it was just a stupid pick, and that's the interesting part because McKay does a pretty good job with that entire team. They've got a brand new coach with, of course, Raheem Morris, and you would have thought that would have been a good opportunity for them to grab somebody on defense because they certainly do need help on that. So we're giving them a C, and I think that's generous, frankly. They're not doing themselves any favors. Okay, Baltimore Ravens get a B. Now they had a fourth round pick, and that was corner T.J. Tampa, and he's going to provide a very good player. Now the good news, let's try to say this: the good news, if you are a Ravens fan, is he can play corner or he can play safety, right? He's a big guy. He's got great leg. He's a good hitter. He was a steal at that position. So TJ Tampa will provide some really good depth in that defense, which is already a stellar defense for Baltimore. So Baltimore does well. They get a B. Let's move on. From the Ravens to the Buffalo Bills, their best pick in our analysis was Dwayne Carter. Now, Dwayne Carter is a defensive tackle. He was the third round draft choice for them. He's undersized, but before you go crazy on that, he's one of those guys who can take up space in the middle. He really does use his speed. He uses his feet. He uses his hands. He's very tough to move. He may be smaller than some of these guys who are like 6'7", 300 and some odd pounds. But, he's a kid who, because of his speed, could very well be someone who you really got to take a look at. Now, we like what General Manager Brendan Bean did. He managed his picks very well. He moved down in the first round to add more ammunition. They still ended up with a good haul, though. They needed an influx of players, starting with second round receiver Kenyon Coleman, and they did okay. They get a B from us because they work hard to get the picks they needed. So Carolina got the picks they needed. I'm sorry, not Carolina. Buffalo got the picks they needed. They're going to have some fun with that team. They don't need that much, but they did have a good haul. Carolina gets a B minus. Their best player that we thought on the board that they took was their 4th round tight end, Javon Sanders. He's out of Texas. He has tremendous skills. He's a good pass catcher. He can play in the slot if need be. He's a good blocker. So, this is a very versatile kid. And is he a Travis Kelce kind of guy? Maybe, just maybe. He didn't do well in his 40 speeds, but he was really solid as a pass catcher, a blocker, and one of those things, situations you look up and go, this guy's got potential. All right, so that was a good move. They didn't have a 1st round pick. They traded away in the Young deal, which went to Washington, but they still ended up with one by trading up to land Xavier Legette, who was their 1st round pick. They moved around in the 2nd round, adding 3rd round picks, and frankly, we just like the fact that they got the people they needed. Okay, again, was it a good draft for them? It wasn't a good draft. It wasn't a bad draft. It was B minus. Chicago got a B, and Chicago got their guy. No one's surprised, Caleb Williams, 1st overall pick. We're going to have to see if he is really that franchise quarterback. I think he's a good guy, all right, but it's going to be very interesting. Now, they got the receiver Rome Odunze, 9th overall pick, which should give them, a pretty powerful offense. You got a guy in Caleb Williams and a receiver in Odunze who should step right in and play, right off the bat. Now, I think the key here on the downside is how quickly Caleb Williams. Now, a lot of people think he's ready to step in and be a franchise quarterback. I think he's, that it's going to take a little more time than some people do. So that doesn't mean I'm hating on Caleb. It just means that I think that there's definitely some things we have to pay attention to. Okay, so there we go on that. We're giving the Cincinnati Bengals a B minus. Their best choice was their 3rd round defensive tackle, and that's McKinley Jackson. He's a run stuffer. He's got that inside defense situation. He's only 6'2", but he's 325 pounds. He is really one of those guys that just he stuffs up the center. He can really, again, with his feet, he's got at 6'2" and 325. He's actually got some pretty good speed. So keep an eye out for him. He's on the Bengals. The Bengals need defensive help, and I think they got it. Duke Tomlin, their general manager, did a nice job drafting the Bengals into some solid defensive picks. And so we'll see how it all works out. Now, the 1st round, they took a risk. He's an offensive tackle. Marius Mims, who had only 8 starters in his senior year. He's going to be a boom or bust. We'll find out. We hope for them that he's a boom. Hope for young Mr. Mims, he's a boom, but you never know. Taking Chris Jenkins and Jackson will help offset the loss of DJ Reader, who left in free agency. Cleveland Browns get a C minus. They didn't really have a good pick situation. Their 5th round receiver, Jamarius Trosh, is a good route runner. He's physical. He gives them a young weapon to add to their group. He will obviously make that team. But they just didn't go crazy. They didn't have a 1st round pick because they sent him to the Texans for Deshaun Watson. So they had to wait until the 22nd pick of the 2nd round to get their 1st pick. And that was Michael Hall Jr., a defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Now, he's going to be a good player, But, for them, the rest of the draft pretty much just went okay. Dallas Cowboys. Third round offensive lineman Cooper Beebe can play anywhere on the offensive line. We think he's probably going to be guard for Dallas, although he can play tackle. He played tackle at Kansas State. We thought that the Cowboys had a solid draft. They traded down, which is not uncommon for the Cowboys. They've done that numerous times, adding an extra pick and taking tackle Tyler Guyan in the first round. That was a big hit. He will start as a rookie. There's no question about that. He has the tools to do so. They added some good football players the rest of the way, guys like Beebe and Wake Forest's corner, Kalen Carson in the fifth round. He's not a splashy guy, but he is definitely a solid player and will help that team. Denver Broncos, B- on our chart. The best pick, Troy Franklin. He was a fourth rounder. He's a player who will add speed to the offense. He is going to play, with Bo Nix. The two of them were teammates at Oregon, and that certainly is not going to hurt. Okay, this draft is going to be, frankly, decided by their first round pick, Bo Nix. Now, we like Bo Nix, no question about it. The question is, can he play in Sean Payton's offense? Okay, we'll have to figure that one out. But Bo Nix has the skills to be a quality quarterback in this league. Going to Denver and with Sean Payton as his mentor here, we could see something special there. We'll have to take our time and don't judge it too quickly. Fifth round corner Chris Abrams, Darien out of Missouri, is also a good talent, so keep an eye on him. Detroit Lions got a B from us. Their best pick was their fourth round safety, running back Sion Grek. He was, the captain of the better than average team. He really has the ability to play, not only start as a safety, he can play corner, and he also was fantastic on special teams. So not a bad situation there. They landed the best corners in the draft in the first round in Terrion Arnold. And then they came back and used their second pick to go get another corner, Enos Rakashaw, a junior from Missouri. So that's good drafting. It addressed the needs that they had on the defensive side, and we already know the Lions can play offense, so that's not a bad situation. Green Bay Packers, they also get a B. Their best pick was their second rounder, and that was linebacker Adrian Cooper. He's going to play a big role on that team. The Packers do a nice job with the draft. They always do. This one will give them the players they definitely need, who can start at rookie. The Packers only clearly drafted for need, which is not a bad thing. They got Morgan and Cooper, as we said before, as second round safety. They also got on running back Marshawn Lynch, who's into that offense behind Josh Jacobs. Quarterback Michael Pratt in the seventh round was a good pick. He's a safe pick, and he certainly is somebody who can help them out down the line. Houston, Texas, C+. They didn't really have much in the way of a good draft. Their third round pick was safety Kalen Bullock. He's a rangy safety he's going to give them depth this season, but will eventually be a starter. He may not be a starter this time. First off the bat. After having a great draft last year, which obviously we all know, we didn't love this year's draft for them. They didn't have a first round pick. They traded that to Minnesota, and then they picked a tackle, Blake Fisher. He's not going to start. He will be someone who will be a fill-in. Usually, you don't want to do that on your first draft pick, but it is what it is. Two secondary players who probably won't start with their next two picks is what they went to get, and that was, a situation where Nick Casario, their general manager, just wasted some picks. So the Texans get a C+, and I think we're being very, frankly, I think we're being generous there. Indianapolis Colts, B+. We love their pick Adonai Mitchell. He's in the second round. He's tall. He's fast. He really gives them some really fun receivers if you put him with Michael Pittman and Josh Downs. We like the Colts' fourth round pick, but wouldn't have taken Dallas Turner at 15. They probably could have gotten him a little later. We think Liatu, the pass rush of the Colts took. Liatu is going to fill a need. Mitchell might end up being a steal, but we'll have to see how that goes. He can run. The trick now is do the Colts have a quarterback who can get him the ball? That's a problem. Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to give them a B. We love the second round defensive tackle, Mason Smith out of LSU. He's got tremendous skills. He's very impressive. He tore his ACL in 2022, which set him back. But, he started last season and he looked pretty dominant. So we'll see how that plays out. But, we've been critical of Trent Bake's draft choices in the past, but he got his first round receiver in Brian Thomas Jr., which gives him a game changer. Kid's got speed, he's got length and ability. He can play the slot, plus he can play outside as well, so he can go. He's a deep threat. The guy is an absolutely beast. So we'll have to see how how that works out. Trading down, they got plenty of draft picks for next year's draft. So, they got what they got, and not a bad situation. Kansas City Chiefs, they needed to have a good draft, and they did have it. Now, they get an A. We like 2 picks they drafted in the better than average team, and that would be they took tight end Jared Wiley and safety Jerron Hicks. That adds depth to positions where they got some guys who were, on the back end of their careers, and now they don't have to worry about it. The Chiefs had a very good draft. They traded up to get the receivers, Xavier Worthy. They can definitely use that in the first. And then they did the same thing by taking Samatori in the second round. Worthy will be a game changer for Patrick Mahomes. The 2 of the better than average players will definitely help the Chiefs where they need it, which is at wide receiver. A C to the Las Vegas Raiders. Their best pick was DeMarcus Richardson from Mississippi State. He's a long corner who can play man coverage. He also can play press coverage if needed. And he's going to start right away for that team. The problem with what happened, if you're a Raiders fan, is they didn't get a chance to take one of the top quarterbacks since they were all gone by the time, they took Bowers. Like we said before, good players, they got some good players. They didn't necessarily get everybody they needed at positions they needed. They got Oregon center Jackson Powers Johnson. He came in the second round. He will probably be moving to guard, although he could play center, although we think he's going to play guard. We didn't love the fourth round pick, Delmar Glaze, who was a tackle, but we'll see how that works out. The Chargers, Jimmy Harbaugh. We liked the third round pick, who was Junior Carlson, who played for Jim at the University of Michigan. He's a tough player, and he's going to be very physical, and he's going to be somebody as a linebacker who's going to help that Rams defense out. I'm sorry, that Chargers defense out. They took Joe Alt, without question, the best offensive line in the draft. He was the 5th overall pick. He's going to help, no question about that. And, they had some very good choices. Not a lot of sexy picks, but guys who will help that team get better, and that's all you can ask for. They also picked up second-round receiver Ladd McConkey, and he's likely to start right away. Let's go to the Rams. They got an A. Best pick for them was Washington State's defensive end Brennan Jackson in the 5th round. He brings a relentless style to keep him in the league for a long time. He's a perfect player for the Rams defense. The guy's got a major motor. He's all over the place. They finished the first round after not having a pick since 2016. They used it on Jared Verse. Now, Jared fills a need. He's an edge rusher. Florida State plays, really, really well. A lot of people think that he might be one of the best edge rushers in all of college football, and so that certainly bodes well for the Rams. Dolphins get a B plus. Their first choice was Chop Robinson. He's an edge player as well. A lot of sack production, but we'll have to see if he can get to the quarterback. And the Dolphins did well. They didn't get the splashy names, but they got guys they needed. We questioned their first two picks. Tackle Patrick Paul. He's a second-round pick. Probably could have gotten him a third round, but whatever. He's not going to start right away. But Teron Armstead might very well be one of those guys who does make it. Minnesota Vikings B minus. Their best pick was not really a pick. It was really the opportunity to move up in the first round to get what they wanted, which was a pass rusher, and that's Dallas Turner. They got him. He did a fantastic job and should be very good in Brian Flores' scheme. Like the team, like all teams that took quarterbacks, their drafts will be defined on how well the players play. They got, of course, J.J. McCarthy, who was their quarterback from Michigan. Even if Turner becomes a true star, which we think he will, this draft is all going to be about McCarthy, period. Does J.J. McCarthy have what it takes to be a starting quarterback in this league? And he's going to have to learn that one pretty quick in Minnesota. We think he probably will be able to do it. Best pick for the New England, who got B minus on our grade card, was Javon Baker. He's going to help the passing game out right away. He's already squawking about the team passing on him and letting him fall a little bit, but he's still there, and he's going to be happy. It doesn't really matter what else the Patriots do in the draft. Again, everything is going to be hanging on Drake May, who was the third overall pick. Now, if he's a star, this draft will be special for the Patriots. If he's not, then it's going to be a long, cold winter in New England. So everything, all these young quarterbacks, specifically those who were taken in that first round, the world is going to be very, very tough on them. And if they can rise to the occasion, great. If they can't, it's going to be a long, long winter, as I said. New Orleans Saints, they got a B plus with us. Fifth round receiver, Bud Means. He's a long receiver. He's got tremendous abilities to catch the ball and run with it once he gets it. So he's a game breaker. That's not something that New Orleans had in the wide receiver position. They have it now. Basically, they addressed major problems with their first two picks, taking tackle Talise Fuga in the first round. And then they got our buddy, somebody we always like, Kool-Aid McKinstry in the second round. He's from Alabama, of course. Fuga is going to be a plug-and-play starter. There's no doubt about that. While McKinstry, he might take a little bit of time to get acclimated into that defense because it is a very good defense. The Saints have a fine defense, but he's got the talent, we think, to do well. And keep an eye on fifth-round quarterback Spencer Rattler. He might be the steal of the draft for the Saints. Spencer Rattler could be that guy that we see later down the road start and wonder, wow, that's pretty amazing. So keep an eye on him. Giants, the New York Giants. Their first receiver, they're in the first one, receiver Malik Neighbors. Now, some will say that they should have went after J.J. McCarthy in that spot. A lot of people did. But if you're going to go after a receiver, Malik Neighbors is a good one, and we'll see if he can help the Giants. Somebody's got to throw the ball to him, and we'll see how that works out. The Giants made the decision on the pass on a quarterback to take Neighbors. Now, they supposedly tried to move up to get Drake May, but when that didn't happen, they passed on McCarthy and they took Neighbors. It probably was a smart move for them. It probably was. They can still get their quarterback next year if they need it. So we'll see how that goes. But the rest of the draft was okay in our book. But keep an eye on their fourth round tight end, Theo Johnson. He's really got some special abilities. He's got great hands. He runs good routes. He can block. So no doubt, keep an eye on Theo Johnson, tight end. The Jets get a B. Their third round receiver was our favorite pick for them. And that was Malachi Corley. He's going to come in. He's going to immediately help that passing game out. Aaron Rodgers should like him as a target, no doubt about it. He's a strong player after the catch, which is what Aaron Rodgers is used to. So let's see how that works. By taking Olifasanu, the Jets did the right thing, but it sure didn't look like they were all in for Rodgers' protection, because they're going to likely sit Fashanu for a year. Corley will be a nice pick and very good help, but this wasn't a great draft for immediate help, which is why they got a B minus. The Eagles got a B plus. Now, rather than picking and panicking, and trading up, they stayed put and landed one of the top cover corners in the entire draft in Onion Mitchell, and he's a first rounder that we feel that he's a legit starter. He will be in that secondary for the Eagles whenever Philly kicks off in the fall of 2024 here. General Manager Hal Roseman usually likes to trade up on draft night, but he refrained from doing it this time in the first round, and he worked by landing Mitchell, as we said before. He did trade up in the second round, landed corner Cooper DeJean. In fact, he made 8 trades, enhancing his reputation as the dealer. But the best thing they probably did was, paid attention to their cover and keeping that going. So nothing to worry about there. That was a good move. Pittsburgh Steelers, we like what the Steelers did. They get an A with us. Love the third pick, which is linebacker Peyton Wilson in the third round. He might have some medical issues, but nothing that should keep him off the field. They're going to come to love him, Steeler fans. He's a perfect Steeler type running linebacker. What we like best about the Steelers is they took a lot of quality players, including 3 offensive linemen in their first 5 picks. When you've got guys like, got back, with the trades that they made, they got 2 interesting situations at the quarter for the Steelers. And, you've got Mason McCormick, who was guard in the 4th round, Wilson, and 3rd round was Roman Wilson. He's going to play early. Russell Wilson being one of the key cogs in that Steeler lineup as perhaps their starting quarterback. It's going to be good to have protection, and looks like the Steelers addressed that while also addressing some needs they had on defense. San Francisco 49ers got a C plus. We like their second rounder, who was Ronaldo Green. He fills a need, might be able to be their corner right away. Green had just 1 interception in college, but he was a playmaker. He made plenty of tackles and knocked away a few things. So that's a good one. The 49ers clearly were drafting for the future. They got Ricky Pearsall from Florida. He's a good player. He might even be a star in this league, but he's going to have to sit on the bench or at least be a role player, because he's not breaking, that lineup with guys like Brendan Ayuk and Debu Samuels on that team. Third round offensive lineman Dominic Purney is someone who, again, is going to, over time, develop into a starter. So, the smart thing Kyle Shanahan, was he took the guys that he thought would help them over time and not forcing them into the lineup, because the 49ers didn't need to do that. And now Green's going to be a great value, as we also think that fourth rounder wide receiver Jacob Cowling could be the sleeper for the 49ers. Keep an eye on him. Seattle Seahawks got a C+. Byron Murphy is their guy, and he was their first pick at tackle. He's really got the tools and be a dominant inside player. He will be a lot like Baltimore's Justin Madbuk, who is now playing for Seattle. Murphy will be a starter, which will make this draft a hit down the road, but the rest of it was just kind of okay. They didn't really nail down anybody that other than the third round guard Christian Hayes that fills all the needs. So the Seahawks had a pretty pedestrian draft. Okay, that's why they got a C. Tampa Bay Buccaneers get a B+. They almost got an A. They came close. Their third round receiver Jalen McMillan will certainly prove to be a major steal. He was Washington's leading receiver in 2022. He got an injury that kind of set him back a little bit, but with more catches than Roman Orza, he went 9th in this draft. McMillan will become possibly a fantastic slot receiver in time. And of course, that just bolsters already fantastic receiving room for the Buccaneers. We also, look, they did a nice job landing players that are going to help them fill the needs that they have. Jason Light did an outstanding job. He picked up guard center Graham Barton, who was their first round pick. You got Braswell, who picked. He was for need. He's a great rotation guy. And we do like McMillan, who was the first, was a fifth rounder, and running back Bucky Irving. Now, Bucky Irving was an awesome player at Oregon. He is, to me, the sleeper in this draft for the Buccaneers. Watch out for Bucky Irving. He was number 0. If you watch games with Oregon, we watched a lot of the games that the Oregon played. He was great at catching passes from Bo Nix. He was great at, as a scat back kind of guy. He kind of, turn the corner. He's not going to be a between the tackles guy, but he is definitely going to be, someone who the Buccaneers can count on as they move forward with their offense and Baker Mayfield. Tennessee Titans, they get a B. We like their fifth rounder. It was a corner, Jarvis Brownlee Jr. He's going to be a nickel starter. One day, he's going to probably be a corner. Now, he's smallish, but the kid can cover, and he hits like a beast. So, that's what you need in a corner. Tennessee got him. They got tackle J.C. Latham in the first round. He's going to pay off in a big way right off the bat. They're going to be starting left tackle for a long time. That's where he's headed. The Swift pick was feast or famine. Brownlee proved to be a steal if he can stay healthy in the 6th round. And wide receiver Jaquan Jackson can fly. He's likely going to be a punt returner and kickoff returner for them, and also the possible slot receiver. And finally, what a job the Washington Commanders did. They get an A+. Their best pick, no question about it. They got Jalen Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner. We think he's the best quarterback in the draft, no question about it, hands down. They locked up their, basically their franchise passer with the overall number 2 pick. He's a dynamic player. In his first year of drafting, general manager Adam Peters, who came over from San Francisco, he killed it. He started by taking Daniels with the 2nd pick overall, but continued throughout the process. This team is moving right in a super direction. We like their 2nd round picks, which of course was Johnny Newton at corner. They got Mike Sandstill, who was, defensive tackle. They also picked up Ben Sinnott, who's a great tight end. They drafted a lot of football players. They got a lot of draft choices and trades that they made, and they made the most of it. So this Washington Commanders team is likely to get a lot better, a lot fast. So keep an eye on them in the East, which is a tough position to be in. But this Washington Commanders team has a legit chance at perhaps making a wild card spot in the playoffs. They're definitely going to be ahead of the Giants. Could they be ahead of the Philadelphia? I don't know. We'll see. Depends on Jaden Daniels, but they did very, very well. So there you go. There's all of what you needed to know about the draft choices this year, and we hope that your team helped themselves. All right, let's take a quick look around what's going on in television. Let's talk about NBA first. NBA has a deal in place with ESPN ABC, likely 80 games, which would give them also the exclusive rights to the NBA playoffs and the championship game. They're going to be down from 100 games to 80 games, but that package is one that was negotiated prior to last Tuesday's exclusive deadline for ESPN and Warner Brothers Discovery Sports, which of course we all used to know as Turner Sports, TBS and TNT. At the same time, right after that window opened, which was on Tuesday for others, Amazon jumped into the pack and they got a significant chunk of basketball. Right now, it looks like it's going to be Thursday night basketball all year for them, including some playoff games. So Amazon is in the mix. The key portion of the NBA's package now seems to rest between the Warner Brothers Discovery Group and NBC Peacock. Perhaps they will. I mean, obviously TNT and TBS wants to keep the NBA. That would be a big hole in their portfolio if they don't keep them. So my guess is they're going to do everything they can to keep them. NBC, who fell out of the NBA back in the early 2000s, haven't been back since. Would like to get back in that package. So I don't know. I think the NBA is going to try to figure out a way to get those two back in together. So that would give you ESPN, Amazon, the old Turner Group, which is Warner Discovery, and NBC Peacock. So I think they're going to try to see if they can slice these packages up in nice little dots that we're going to give them some money. Not unlike the Sunday ticket situation with the NFL, it looks like YouTube and Google are interested in the NBA season pass packages. And that would be interesting from that standpoint. So the NBA TV rights are kind of like sliding into place. They're not there just yet, but stay tuned. We'll keep you updated on all of them. As we said before, ESPN's packages, they're going to be probably announcing in the next few weeks. Same for Amazon. And so the key players here to keep an eye on are NBC and Warner Discovery. All right, let's take a quick look at what's on TV tonight. MLB baseball on FS1 regional games. We got the Minnesota Twins at the Chicago White Sox. That one, not necessarily something that you might. You have to be a big fan of either one of those teams to be wanting to watch that game. That's a 7:30 start Eastern time. Also tonight, Miami Heat host the Boston Celtics. That game is a 7:30 start. That's going to be on TNT. Over on USA, it's WWE Monday Night Raw. That's an 8 p.m. start. They've got live racing on FanDuel, and that will be live racing nightcap, 9 p.m. on FanDuel. On ESPN, also after the hour of 9:30, Stanley Cup playoffs, the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights. That should be a good game. Over on TNT at 10 o'clock, you've got NBA, the Lakers taking on the Denver Nuggets in a very important game 5. And that closes out tonight's TV action. All right. So we talked about the draft. We talked about what's going on in the NBA. And all the fun we can have for one day. We got it. So hope that you enjoyed it. Amedeus will be back with us tomorrow. He is out for one more day, and then he'll be back tomorrow. So don't forget to check out his picks, which are in the in the show box below. And we hope that you had a good day. Thanks for joining us. Greatly appreciated. If you have any comments or anything that you'd like to talk to us about, you can leave those comments in the show box below. Please take a moment to subscribe and to like what we do, okay? All right, everybody. Have a lovely, lovely day. Greatly appreciate you joining us. And by all means, we will see you tomorrow.